The Elfish Gene was published in 2007 by Mark Barrowcliffe, and it tells the story of his fall into addiction with Dungeons and Dragons when he was just a young teenager. Now, it's relatively unusual in modern times to hear negative stories around role-playing games, so I wanted to speak to Mark to get a bit more information as to why he felt this way and if anything had changed since 2007 when he wrote the book.
Macmillan, the English publishers, made a bit of a hash of publishing that all round, actually. They insisted on me writing 2 chapters, one at the start and one at the end, basically dissing the game, saying this is for a general audience who are going to think that you're all nerds. So say, yeah, well, I know we're all nerds, all the rest of it. And being me, I rather got my teeth into the first one and sort of got carried away. So I wish I could and I may try one day, republish that book with the first and last chapters missing, really. I think it's a good book. The original start of it said how the second chapter starts. It started with, we all play roles in life.
No, it's interesting because that was one of the first things I wanted to ask you, which is this is probably the most, I don't know if it's your intention, probably the most negative view of role-playing games in terms of their impact on young boys in particular that I've read about. Is that still your feeling now?
No, it wasn't my feeling when I wrote the book. And I said repeatedly in the book that what was harmful wasn't the game, it was obsession. That's the difference. And I could have been obsessed with golf and it would have been equally as harmful. Well, in fact, probably be slightly more lucrative. Almost when the rest of your, I mean, I don't think I said this in those terms then, but when the rest of your life is so awful, not awful in the way people's lives in Ukraine and whatever are awful, but just when you're left, you've got very little sort of sense of self-esteem or whatever. The chance to rub all that away and to enter a world where you can literally create yourself is very seductive. Now, I think the game itself did me a lot of good. The people in it probably didn't. So, yeah. And I don't know whether every game is like this, was like we had, but there was as I say, what I say in the thing is when bullied people get together, and virtually everybody in that game, in my gaming circle, were bullied at school. Everybody. They don't support each other. They just get a different hierarchy of bullying. So it gives the bullied person a chance to be the bully.
So what do you think the intersection is with the game here? Because it sounds like there are different personalities who interact with this game in different ways. You mentioned the idea of playing a role that you don't otherwise have in the relative mundanity of life is a strong component of it. But
Yeah.
these sound like people with very different backgrounds who've yet managed to find something in this game that appeals to them. Do you have any clue? Well, there's 2 questions. Do you have any clue what that was? And 2, do you
Yeah.
think your group was exceptional?
I don't know that. I mean, I wasn't in the other groups. There do seem to have been some nicer kids around. I think that was for sure. I think there were some other ones who were a lot nicer. But it is quite straightforwardly the accrual of power. That is what I think is what the game offers you at that age. It allows the powerless the accrual of power.
There are supposedly different kinds of players or people who play the game for different kinds of reasons. And one group is the role players, those who want the experience of stepping into another person's shoes, not for power, but for the hell of it, almost like actors would do in something like Critical
Understand?
Role.
It wasn't that with us.
Okay, okay, yeah, that makes, so you think it was more of a power trip? So it was about advancement.
I, at first, and particularly with certain characters in there, then yes. I think the character Billy in the book was more into the role-playing idea of it, but it was still about loot, treasure, experience, magic spells.
Yeah.
Again, I often wonder if the game gave me any abilities on that foot. It gave me the ability to be a writer. I don't know, maybe it did. I certainly don't think it did me any harm at such a formative age, from 12 to 16, 17 or so, constantly thinking in terms of narratives. I think I think that may have been some help to me.
Why was it D&D? I mean, there were other hobbies available.
Yeah.
What is it about you that intersected with this game? I mean, it's hard to
Well,
introspect sometimes,
it's
but
not
what do you
just
think?
D&D. I probably intersected more with Empire of the Petal Throne, actually,
Okay.
which was much more detailed. Uh, and it had its own real flavour to it. I mean, D&D's kind of European medieval chivalric kind of period, whereas Empire of the Petal Throne is based on it's a mishmash of Asian and Mesoamerican cultures. So it's quite interesting. I don't know. I think I would like to. Yeah, maybe I don't answer that question in the book. What it was. I think it was just first it felt like something that it was a cult. That was the first thing. Not many people knew about it. Um,
And that was appealing.
yeah, yeah, very. Yeah, it's I'm sitting here. Basically I'm better than you. It gave me that feeling that oh look at that idiot playing football. You know, if he doesn't know what he's missing. Well, I'm not going to tell him that kind of thing. You know, I'm kind of. Whereas of course those kids weren't interested at all. And to be honest with you, had I been a better footballer, I might not have been interested. I don't think Dungeons and Dragons leads you into the occult. It didn't lead me into it because I was into it already before, because I was fascinated by it before. Again, it just chimed with my interest, you know. And I think I'd read, A Wizard of Earthsea and things like that early, and I really loved that. And I'd read Weirdstone of Brisingamen as well, which really kind of chimed with me. I think there is a very straightforward reason that D&D is addictive if played in the way that we played it. It's random reward. It's just the fruit machine.
Mm.
It's Facebook. It's you don't know what's coming next. It might be something bad. It might be something good. And not every time you go into one of these rooms and kill the monster do you get what you want.
Mm.
So you're always looking for the reward, and there's always a greater reward that can be had. And there's also it's kind of I would suspect, and knowing nothing about it, I think it's probably on the same pathways as gambling. It's again, that's just a total layman's impression because you can lose all the time. You can lose. There's a
But it's
thrill.
really,
Your character can die.
uh, I have no evidence in relation to that stuff, but it's really interesting for me for a couple of reasons. One, you said that you described the role of a DM and how a DM effectively allows you to be God.
Yeah,
And that interacts really neatly with this idea of gambling and this random reward, because really these things are not random rewards. They are decided by a human being who's right in front of you behind the little cardboard screen. But we
and the
grant them
dice,
a certain power and what, sorry?
and the dice.
And the dice. The
So
dice definitely is
why I
real.
didn't say that before gambling? You're actually throwing dice. You know,
Mm.
it's yeah.
That's a good point.
And they were like, "You're coming back. We know you're going to be back. We know you can't walk." They literally said, "You
Mm.
can't walk away. We know you can't walk away." Like addicts, you know. I've got to be honest. It was hard, but it wasn't hard to walk away from the group. It was hard to walk away from my books.
Mm.
I was not interested in the rest of society,
Mm.
and I couldn't talk about anything else either. I
Mm.
I literally had no other conversation uh, with anybody. So I'd say it's in the book with my grandmother. I just talked to her
Yeah.
about dwarves punching people's entrails out, which I made up on the spot. One of my friends just asked me the other day about my book because her son is utterly absorbed in football,
Mm.
but it's all he will do. And he said something that just reminded me of myself, but with D&D. They said we're going to go skiing over uh, over January, and he just went, "Why? Why?" like that. And she's like, "Well, you'll enjoy it." He's going, "I've got games. I've got games. I, I'm going to be playing for the under-16s at so and so. I can't go bloody skiing." You know, it's like, that's how I would have. So do you still play now?
I don't have a group now. I would.
Yeah.
My experiences were more positive, but I had a long, just like you, I had a long gap,
Mm,
decades. I'm
yeah.
48 now, and now I'm a psychologist. I thought, hey, there's a gap there. Why aren't people studying this stuff in a serious way. I mean, I've written down a comment of yours that you said it's some D&D is something which, if it was about a more serious subject matter, would be considered a new art form. Because
Oh
there are
God, absolutely. It's a new genre. I mean, it is a new. Well, yeah, I can't think of it. Maybe you can, but collaborative storytelling is what it is.
Mm.
I remember when I think I did actually transition to proper role play when my berserker character sacrificed himself uh, for some others. So he was kind of wounded, and the party were trying to get away, and I can't remember what it was, but there's some monsters chasing us, and I just said, "I'll take. I want to go to Valhalla. I'll take them. Come on," kind of thing, you know. And this is the way I want to die. You know, completely outnumbered, sort of wounded, but sort of fighting to the very, very last because I'm going to be with Odin tomorrow morning. And that sort of did feel good, and it felt the ability to let the character go was quite hard because these characters do really live for you. That I think. I mean, I don't know if you had the same experience that they are people with their own sort of outlook and yeah, if you get so particularly as we got older, they became people with their own outlook and sort of things. I mean, when they're younger, when we were younger, they're very much focused on what they were wearing, what they looked like. Of course, when Andy Porter was attacking my characters, it's very clear that he's also attacking me, and so you're it's not seeing a piece knocked over in a game of Risk, or a game of chess, whatever. It's you dying, and you talk about you, don't you? Did you do that in the game? You say, "Yeah, I
First
do
person.
this." Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
first
Not
person.
my character. You don't say my character does this. You say I do this.
Thank you. You've been really, really kind and very open. I really very much appreciate it. And I really enjoyed the book. It's the second time I read it. It's an honest book, and I really
It tries to
appreciate
be.
that it has the negative as well as the positive around the game, where we tend to just hear positives. And of course, I don't think the game is a bad thing. I don't think
No, I don't.
it's been unleashed this terrible weapon upon society. I think quite the opposite.
I would say, looking at the effect that Dungeons and Dragons had on me and my friends, and saying Dungeons and Dragons did bad things to us, would be like looking at the boys in Lord of the Flies and saying islands are bad.
Mm,
You know.
mm, there's not a
Anyway,
problem.
lovely to talk to you, Sam.
Same to you. Thank you
Chat
very much
soon.
for joining me.